I just got back from seeing a girlfriend, and a tendency I used to have was so I she is a friend who often has a lot of drama going on, and I have previously been friends with people like that before. And before, my MO used to be I don't want to tell them what to do or make them feel invalidated, so I will just listen and absorb, and kind of my only role is to just nod and kind of only voice the side that is understanding what's going on. So, for example, they'd be telling me some drama, there'd be a part of me that is going, I completely get why you did that. I completely get that scenario. I know why you're making this choice. Another part of me that's going, this feels wrong. This doesn't feel good, or this doesn't seem like it's making you happy in the long term. But because these people speak with such confidence, such, oh, that's just the way it is, that's my decision, I always felt quite overpowered in those scenarios, and I basically felt as though my role was to support, which is a really important part. And I always struggled with, I think I had the opposite problem with a lot of other people, which was other people will kind of try and shove advice down their throat and go, no, no, you're doing it all wrong, this is how you should do it. I had the opposite problem where I was suppressing that. I just wanted the person to feel validated. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want to shut them out. I didn't want to create any friction at the end of the day. And I just got back from seeing my friend, and it's a bit of a newer relationship, but I had those old tendencies at the beginning of our relationship, and now when I saw her, I tried a completely different thing, embodying something much deeper and a lot more aligned with me, but still also holding her in the conversation and in my heart. And I found that I started to see how and where I could bring both of those aspects in. So for the main point, I still very much like the fact that I err on the side of I will listen, but there was a point where, like, sometimes that's fine, and then it hits over a threshold, and I would start to feel stifled, like I wasn't seen, like I couldn't say things, I was holding a lot in, and that didn't feel good. So what I did differently this time, I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna say the parts that I feel uncomfortable with, and what would hold me back before is, but I don't want her to feel invalidated, shut out, as though I'm against her, as though she can't tell me stuff, as though she can't trust me, as though I'm trying to shove advice down her throat. So I think the approach I took is really important, in that the whole time I was still holding me. And again, I think we've talked about this in a couple of other videos, the importance of dropping down from your headspace into your womb, kind of holding and remembering you and your boundaries, your likes, your dislikes. So trying to start and remain in that place for the conversation that you're having. And from that point, I think a lot of people, when they share unsolicited advice, what happens is they can often cut off from themselves, but they also cut off from the other person, close their heart and go, this is wrong for you. And all these people, they have the best of intentions, and I know it, I see it, but it comes across as ineffective, and it does make the other person feel invalidated and shut out. So the way that you can give advice or help share your perspective from an objective point of view while still remaining in that supportive role and giving that I love you, but I have this also in mind dynamic going on, is really focus on keeping your heart open and saying your piece. I think this bit's really important. Saying your piece without trying to change them. You're not trying to get them to align and do everything you say. Still let them make the choices that they want to make. But you're just kind of saying, hey, I completely get that this makes say if they're talking about another person, like a friend or a relationship, I get this person makes you feel really good and bigs you up and whatever it is. What's coming up for me is that, I don't know, whatever your concerns are, like you're losing yourself, or this feels good now, but it's not good in the long run. So approaching it with I'm letting them know that you're still seeing and validating all the good there is, but that you're also seeing the duality and the drama that they're telling you, or so they start to feel seen, and then they're not automatically in a place of defense. They, even no matter how bad you think the scenario is, no matter how much you don't like the person or the scenario that they're talking about, see it from their perspective first. Because also when you do this, when you start to see it from their perspective first, sometimes your mind shifts. You kind of go, okay, that might not be the approach that I would take, but now you've said this, and knowing all the values and knowing all the things that I know about you as your friend, I can see why actually you are making that choice. And if I'm honest, that's a better choice for you. So sometimes when you take that approach, you actually shut yourself up, which is always good to do, because again, you're not shoving advice down anyone's throat. But if there are times where you have to step in, and this person is, they just have their blinders on, and I say that with love because I have definitely been there. The more I've grown, the more you can see things objectively and clearly, but there are still going to be a lot of people out there who are stuck in those blind spots, and it's really, really hard because you can see they know that it's causing them a lot of turmoil. They don't think that they're in the best position, but they can't get out of it. That pull is still, it's so deep. They're trying to hold on to it for all the good. They can't fathom that there's something better out there for them in the long run. But from your point of view, your objective, you can just see that this is one extra learning in the long term, and that actually there is someone better out there, or there is something better out there for them. They can't see that right now, and you have to be really, really sensitive to the fact that they can't see that. And to a point, you also have to hold that space of, you may never get through to them. The best you can do is see and celebrate the bits that they're celebrating with them, and add in yourself as well. Like in this scenario, my friend was saying that this other person helps, like she's never had this dynamic before, and actually she's starting to reconsider some of the things that she's doing. And even though I don't fully agree with the scenario, I said, you know what, I absolutely love that this is at least giving you growth, So meeting her where she's at and being able to say, hey, babe, I'm not fully on board. You can do both. You don't have to be in this place of, I'm either fully with her or I'm fully against her. And that's the problem. That's where I was stuck before, as the supporter, as the listener, as I didn't want to just sit there and say nothing, but I felt as though if I started to say things like, oh, that doesn't seem right, or that doesn't sit right with me, or that's not something I would like, how does that make you feel? And actually that's a really good thing to do as well, like not go into you should do this, but going, hey, if I was in your scenario, you're telling me this is how I'm feeling, even listening to it, let alone being in the scenario. So just carrying a lot of compassion goes a long, long way. Keeping an open heart, and you do that by not trying to get them to change, and also sharing the concerns that you have. Share it as though it's not as if you're trying to get to an endpoint. Share it as though you're like emptying your pockets. You're just saying, this is what's in me, I'm just throwing it out there, and then they have the right to go, no, that's not the case, or like they can defend it, or just don't keep pushing, don't keep drilling, because that's what's going to make them feel invalidated. They're not going to feel invalidated if you say, hey babe, I see how all these good things are happening, and I love that you're excited about it, and I see that too, and I completely agree that works for you in that scenario or with that person. And also, I ultimately don't think this scenario, this situation, this person is the best for you in the long run. I think that you're maybe missing the fact that this is just a hopping stone into something better. This is just a sign that you are changing for the better and that actually there is another step after this, rather than going, because sometimes they just can't see, they're in that instant gratification mode and they just want what they want right now and they're not really thinking about the repercussions in the long run. So by taking it into your experience and helping, like, so by saying, yes, I see you, and I mean, you can say that word for word, but you help to see them by saying, I get why you're excited, I get why this is good for you, because every situation has both good and bad. So getting out of that black and white thinking is really going to help you be a better listener too. So you're going into her world when you say those things, when you start off that way, and mean them. Don't just say it as like a manipulation tactic or a way to like push your point. Actually find what you find is good in it, and you don't have to agree with her. She could say, this and this is really great and that's why I love it, and you can kind of hear it and your body's going, those are the things that actually I find huge red flags. But remembering, hang on, 2 minutes ago she told me this, or actually through these things it sounds like he does these other things. So babe, I actually really like the fact that these two other things are happening for you. I think that's where the value is. And so this is what I like about the situation. This is why I'm also excited with you. So you're going into her world. And then you help her see, you help her get out of her blind spots and you bring her into your world. And that is where you start to go, and I also have a few concerns around this, or this made me feel uncomfortable. And going in with those feeling statements really help as well, rather than going, you should do this, you should do that. Because to be honest, you probably don't. I mean, you might have scenarios where you exactly know what they need and want, but I know that there are a lot of scenarios where we have met new people, or we're just building relationships and things like that with new people, and we've gone hot and heavy into the, I want to give you advice, when actually you don't really know what's best for them. You don't know what their values are. You don't know what they're okay with. So go into their world first. That's the most important thing. And you don't have to say nothing. That's my biggest message. You don't have to sit there and shut your mouth and take the weight of all the heaviness and all the drama, because I have been there, and I walk away feeling completely invalidated myself in my endeavor to try and invalidate the other person. I feel closed off. I feel I have no sense of belonging in that relationship, like I'm not heard, just so many things, and it then carries through in other areas of my life where I'm just bringing that disconnection and that feeling of suppression and oppression that I am bringing on myself because I'm not allowing myself to share. So do it for you is also what I'm saying. So share your piece for you. And this again is going to help you when you like to go in with that energy of, I'm sharing just because I know that when I go home I'm going to feel better for sharing this, rather than I'm sharing because you need to hear me and change your ways right now. And the other thing is don't expect an immediate resonance or understanding, or that they're going to take on board everything, because either they just can't access that, they might know that your advice is the better option, but they just can't embody that right now, or they just need a bit more time. They'll go home, they'll think about it, and then in future they'll come back to you and go, you were really right about this. Like, I couldn't see it at the time, but you were completely right. So, and you can, when it gets to a point, if your friend is like very clearly not, if she's really clearly not taking on board or not really hearing your concerns, even if you completely know this is not a good scenario, you know her patterns, you know she's just getting in the same things even though it's dressed slightly differently, or maybe she's taken a step better but it's still not where she can rest. Say your piece. You can say it lovingly, say it in a few different ways, but I'd say at some point you've just got to leave it. Because otherwise, if you keep going, if you keep saying, yeah, but I don't like it, yeah, I don't like it, but babe, and she's trying to tell you all these things afterwards, like, oh, but it's still good. try and find those pockets where you can find a win with her. And again, it doesn't have to be full blown, oh yeah, let's just forget about all the things that I don't like, or let's just discredit the fact that I don't like it, in my opinion, in order to celebrate and enable my friend. It can be a case of, yeah, I'm still uncomfortable, but like you don't even have to bring up the fact that you don't, if you said it a few times that you don't like XYZ, you made that very clear, very gently and lovingly, and just, hey, I'm putting this out on the table, I'm emptying my pockets on the table, take it or leave it. And she's still not getting it. You can say phrases like, well, the part that I like is, or considering everything, I do like this, or I know I don't completely agree, but I kind of like that you're at least happy. So again, like when you start finishing the conversation, you're not leaving her with a sense of, not only is she torn and she knows she's in the middle of drama and she knows that she's got this duality of, this is amazing, but also I know this is bad, and now, I don't know what to do, but I'm kind of hanging on because those wounds are pulling me towards the hang on in despite the drama. So not only is she having that kind of battle within herself, which is why she's telling you about all the drama, because she wants to offload, she wants to figure it out, but she's also not walking away from the conversation going, I can't tell this girl anything, or she's just going to judge me, because that's also really not going to help. She's, in the end of the day, just going to cut you off and go harder into that drama because that's all she knows. So it's really important to play the long game. And you might have to take this as a hit on yourself in terms of, okay, I'm not gonna push my opinion too much here because, excuse me, because I'm here to support her in the long run. And maybe also if I kind of bring this up quite a few times over the next couple months, maybe slowly, then it will sink in, rather than she's bringing it up now, let's nip this in the bud right now, this is dangerous and bad, and like stop it right now, otherwise I'm leaving. Like, no ultimatums, just, excuse me. There is definitely a scenario where you can do both, where you can celebrate her wins with her and you can also share your discomfort. It's not one or the other. Keep an open heart. Don't try and shove anything on her. She needs someone to soundboard, someone to listen. And people do value hearing the bad stuff from other people. It becomes a bit more of an anchor point. What they don't want to experience is someone telling them, you're wrong, you're a fool for getting into this place in the first place, change it. They know that it's not the best scenario, obviously, but they're just a bit helpless. They have subconscious pulls that they don't know how to figure out yet. So they're looking for help, they're looking for support. So there's definitely a good and delicate way you can go about it. Just be patient with her as well, excuse me. And the point isn't to change her, but just offer your opinion each time it comes up. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Say your piece, let it go, and live to support her another day. Because you're going to feel much better as a friend knowing that you haven't forced anything on her, and she's going to feel so much better knowing, hang on, this person, it's also going to be way more persuasive because she's going to feel, wait, this person does see all the good things, and she's still saying, ultimately say no, so what am I missing? Like, they might try and get to the same place that you're at because obviously you're friends, like they trust your opinion and stuff as well. So you don't have to stay quiet. Do both. Definitely be the supportive friend and give your 2 cents. An objective point of view is always really helpful. So yeah, you don't have to suppress yourself. You can be supportive and you can share your piece with love. I really hope that this helped. I'm going to get in a coughing fit in the moment, so I'm going to close this here, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks, my loves.